It's Friday night. You just got paid. What should you be doing with that paycheck?
You should be spending it.
There are actually 5 frugal steps that you should take with every paycheck. Hi, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
From Under the Median. And we actually do budget with every paycheck. Hey, if this is your first time here, we talk every week on the channel about practical frugality. We'd love to have you subscribe and give that bell notification a hit as well. All right, the first step that you should take with every single paycheck is...
don't spend indiscriminately.
That's right. We're not telling you never to spend. We're just saying don't do it indiscriminately. Now, we've all had it happen. Believe me, we have. You get paid and all of a sudden you're like, I have had no fun for days and days and days. And you want to go out, you want to have some fun, blow off some steam, you want to have some pizza from the nearest pizza parlor. There's nothing wrong with that. We're not telling you you will never have any money to spend. We're just telling you, don't all of a sudden start treating yourselves to a whole bunch of stuff that you would not normally be spending money on, because you may be shortchanging yourself at the other end of the month and you may very well regret it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think you want to be planning what you're doing. Mm-hmm.
Because unplanned purchases can wreck your budget in a hurry.
They sure can. So the second part is pay your bills first.
Now, before we pay any bills, we actually tithe off the top of our check. Now, after that, we actually budget from the remaining 90% of what Larry brings home every week in his paycheck. Now, ideally, what we would love to see you do is have a master list of all of your bills, and then next to each bill, write the due date that it's generally due every single month. Now, that's important because it functions more or less as a checkoff list. So you get your check and you're like, all right, you've been paid. You're going to pay this, pay this, pay this, check them off, and you make sure that you haven't missed anything. Now, the other reason a list like this is super helpful is if you are paid bi-weekly. And Larry has been paid bi-weekly for, I don't know, 20 years?
A very
long time.
A very long time. I only had one job that paid monthly, and that was at the TV station. And every job after that, it's been bi-weekly.
So how do they handle this same list of each of your bills and the due date that the bills are due each month and bi-weekly paychecks? What are they going to do with that list? And additionally,
well, you're going to divide the bills up between paycheck number 1 and paycheck number 2. So I would take the bills that are due in the early part of the month, throw those onto paycheck number 1. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be especially true if you've got bills due within 7 days of your pay period. Right. So you definitely don't want to go overdue on the bills. And then any bills that you have in the second half of the month for paycheck number 2, schedule those in there. That should balance out the two.
So you're not spending money indiscriminately. You're paying your basic bills. And after that, there's something we would like to tell you to do that you may find kind of surprising. Step number 3.
Step number 3 is fill your gas tank. Now, it's easy to overlook something as simple as having gas in your car, but if you don't fill your gas tank, you're probably not going to be able to drive back and forth to work where you need to go in order to earn your income. So I usually try to check that gas gauge. In fact, in our cars, we're generally only filling them once a month. You want to definitely fill the tank up as you get paid. Keep your tank full. That way you won't be running out of gas.
Now, before you head to the gas station to fill that gas tank, we actually have a couple of suggestions for you. One is make sure that regardless of when you get paid, that you're not filling up right before a national holiday, because traditionally those gas prices can go up several cents per gallon gallon right before every national holiday hits. And then magically, after the holiday is over, you see them go back down again. So sort of be aware of that, and you may want to wait until after the weekend to fill that gas tank. Now, filling it up for the lowest price possible is also super important, and Larry has a great idea on how to do that.
Well, there's a very helpful tool online called GasBuddy.com, and you can set GasBuddy for your local area. Generally, you either put your city name or a zip code in, and it will then find all the gas stations around where you live that have the cheapest amount of gas. And as long as you're not driving too far to go to that gas station, it's really worth using that. I use it all the time. I managed to find a gas station on my way home from work that has gas that, believe it or not, is actually 20 cents cheaper sometimes than all of the rest of the stations. So you might have one of those in your area where you've got one or two gas stations that just undercut the competition in a big way. That does help.
Now, we would love to know, do you guys use GasBuddy? Is that kind of your go-to tool for making sure you're getting the lowest price per gallon? Or is there another website or another app that we're unaware of? Because we love to have you all comment and tell us things that we have missed, because that's like the major one that we've seen. But if there's another one you use and it works real well, we'd love to know about it in the comments section. Now, the next step might be also a little surprising to you, because you might think, I paid my bills, I'm done with that step, I filled my gas tank, now I get to go have some fun. Well, not quite yet. There are actually some like bills we kind of find, we would describe them as hidden bills, because they don't happen every month. What's step number 4, Larry?
Well, step number 4 is that you want to divide the rest of the money up between bills which are due in the future for your sinking funds.
Now, we'll talk about sinking funds and explain what they are in just a sec. But basically what you need to understand is, just because a bill doesn't come due every month, you can't ignore it until it is due. Because those bills that don't occur every month, they're going to occur quarterly, or they're going to occur bi-yearly, or they're going to occur only one time per year. And if you're not aware of them and you haven't taken the whole amount and divided it up accordingly into your monthly budget, you're going to wind up really unpleasantly surprised when they do come due and go into a panic trying to figure out where you're going to come up with the money to pay, for instance, your car insurance, if it's due once every 6 months or once a year. So make sure you're aware of those bills. We used to call this banked money. Do you guys call it something else? We always called it banked money when we first got married. It's money that we were putting in the bank, banking it for future expenses. Now, Larry also mentioned another term that most of you are probably familiar with it, but just in case a few of you aren't, that's the idea of sinking funds. Sinking funds are funds that we set aside for future expenses, and we pay money from those funds down slowly over time. For instance, at the first of the year in January, we set aside money for our clothing budget. We put the whole clothing budget in there, and then slowly throughout 12 months, we spend money down from that sinking fund account. So if you have sinking funds like we do, you need to make sure that you're actually stashing money aside every single month to keep funding those sinking funds. Now, if you'd like to know how we fund our sinking funds, we actually have 3 hacks, and we've used all 3 of them throughout the past 30 years of budgeting in order to fund sinking funds. We did a video about it, and I'll leave a link to that video in the description of this video, so you can head over there after you're done with this one and give that video a watch.
Now, one of the largest funds that we have in this category is our real estate taxes. And with a bill like that, I mean, it's a large bill. You want to make sure you're dividing that by 12 and putting in a certain amount once a month. Now, a sinking fund is fully funded the year that we're going to be using them. So that for the year 2021, we have those fully funded in January. But as Hope mentioned, we do have a video that we did on it that will further explain how that works.
Now, the next thing that you should be doing with every single paycheck is to budget every dollar.
Dave Ramsey's idea.
That's right. That's our good buddy Dave's idea. And we actually, we learned hard lessons from this idea early in our marriage, when we really viewed every penny in the bank that we thought wasn't allocated for something, which was basically every penny in the bank as one glorious, big, green pile of money just waiting for us to spend it on, I don't know, whatever we wanted to. It was a really bad mistake that we made early on in marriage, one of our top 5 money mistakes that we've made in our marriage.
Yes.
So we learned over time that we need to make sure that every dollar had a job to do. So we got to admit, Dave, you're right on that.
The nice thing about that budget is it takes everything into consideration so that you're not leaving something out. Because it was real easy for us when we saw all that money sitting in a big pile in our savings account and thinking, well, that's available for us to just buy another car. And we spent a lot of money on one of our vehicles that had we been really making every dollar work, we would have cut that way back, probably about a third of what we spent on it.
Now, swinging back around up to the top of our video where I mentioned that maybe you really want to go out for pizza on a Friday night. We're not telling you you'll never be able to do that. In fact, going out to eat for a treat is a fantastic way to spend an evening. But what we are telling you once again is that you have to have money allocated for that purpose. So when you get your paycheck, don't spend it indiscriminately. Instead, make sure the money is already set aside in your restaurant account and you are all ready to go and order that glorious double pepperoni, double cheese pizza from your favorite pizza joint. Hey, is there anything that we missed in our list? These are the 5 steps we take with paychecks. We'd love to know, is there something that you do every time you get paid that maybe we missed? Tell us about it in the comment section. And we will see you next week on the next edition of Under the Median.